the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
And tonight, major concerns about the Postal Service and the impact changes and cuts might have on the general election, your health, and mail delivery as we know it.
The U.S. Postal Service has been in the spotlight since President Trump has threatened funding and bashed mail-in voting, a method some were hoping to use to stay safe during the pandemic. WRTV's Cornelius Hawker spoke to a longtime USPS employee about how this will impact Central Indiana.
Gregory Jones is the president for Indianapolis area local American Postal Workers Union.
A lot of people send things through the mail because they can trust that it will get delivered, and it's always been that way.
He tells me over the course of his 30-year career, the people he's worked with do the job because they're dedicated.
We have an obligation to the public to give them a service, and a lot of us believe in that, and that's what we do.
Recently, more attention has been on the United States Postal Service. President Trump has criticized voting by mail and threatened to withhold billions of dollars in funding. The Postmaster General, appointed by Trump, has also implemented what he calls cost-cutting measures, cracking down on overtime that has slowed mail delivery. So what does that look like on a local level?
Well, when they slow the mail down like that, it affects our veterans that looks for their prescription mail from VA through the mail. It affects senior citizens that online medicine prescription.
Gregory also says he knows some mail processing machines have been removed, contributing to slower mail delivery. But he's not upset at those in charge of the USPS here locally.
The bottom line is they're being directed from higher up to cut overtime, to cut back this, that, and other. But we still do everything we can to get that mail out.
That's the message he wants people to take away from this. Postal workers are dedicated and will work hard to make sure all the mail gets out as quickly as possible. He doesn't want anyone to worry, especially those who choose to vote by mail in this general election.
And I have no doubt that the Postal Service all over the country will do everything to ensure that those ballots are processed and being able to be counted in a timely manner.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, WRTV.
The United States Postal Service is not funded by tax dollars. It relies on the sale of stamps, products, and services for all of its revenue, which has been on the decline for the last several years. We asked for an interview with the local USPS management, but they declined and then sent us a lengthy statement saying they are committed to delivering election mail in a timely manner.
The Washington Post is reporting that the Postal Service recently sent warning letters to 46 states, including Indiana. And according to the report, the letters say the USPS cannot guarantee all mail-in ballots for the November election will arrive in time to be counted. As you can see from this chart, Indiana is among the states given what's being called a heightened warning. The Washington Post says that more serious warnings from the Postal Service means long-standing deadlines for requesting, returning, or counting ballots are not compatible with current mail service, and voters who send ballots close to those deadlines may become disenfranchised.
The Indiana Election Commission is deadlocked over whether to let all Hoosiers vote by mail due to the pandemic. The Democratic members of the board proposed the change at a meeting today. Republican members opposed the measure, arguing it's not necessary. No excuse absentee ballots were accepted in the primary when the state was under stay-at-home orders. Governor Eric Holcomb has said he will not make a decision on the issue until a federal judge issues an opinion on whether the state's election law violates the Constitution. As it stands now, if you want to vote by mail in Indiana, you must go to the Indiana voter portal. There you'll see the vote by mail option, which gives you instructions on how to apply for an absentee ballot. That application must be received by your county election office by October 22nd. For more information about that process and more resources for voters, including information about early voting, go to the Election 2020 section of our website, WRTV.com.
And now to the forecast. This is a live look at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The track will be busy this weekend with drivers racing to qualify for the Indy 500. And Kevin, even though fans will not be allowed in the stands, we still want to know about that weekend forecast for those drivers who are out there.
Well, let me say right now, all 4 turns are dry. The yard of bricks is dry, and I think it will be tomorrow as well. The chance for rain is low. More on that in a second. If we see any rain overnight, it should be in the eastern portion of the state, closer to the state line with Ohio. If you've been outside at all recently, it's still warm and muggy. We'll set the stage for some fog in the morning. There are the showers trying to move from Ohio back into the Hoosier State. They kind of hit a wall there. They may push into Newcastle toward Richmond, but I don't think make it much more to the west from there. Patchy fog overnight, temperature of 66. During the day tomorrow, up and away, temperatures back into the middle to upper 80s. We'll focus on rain chances when I come back in just a little bit.
See you soon, Kevin. Operation Legend is now in Indianapolis. The federal effort brings agents and resources to the city to help local authorities curb gun violence. U.S. Attorney Josh Minkler says 57 federal agents and investigators will work with IMPD over 45 days. He says the initiative will target gun and drug traffickers, people involved in domestic violence with firearms, and people with outstanding warrants. You may have already heard of Operation Legend. It has been attracting national headlines since it began last month. Minkler made a point to clear up any possible misconceptions.
This, again, is not a new strategy. It is not a new plan. It is an increased focus. It is an increased resources for a 45-day period specifically to respond to the acute increase in gun violence. That is what Operation Legend is. Let me take a few minutes to tell you what Operation Legend is not. It is not a response to the levels of civil unrest that we have seen around the country or even here in Indianapolis.
As part of the initiative, a reward of up to $25,000 is available for information that leads to an arrest in the Deshaun Swanson case. The 10-year-old was shot and killed in 2015 in the Butler-Tarkington neighborhood. And investigators say his family had just arrived at a memorial service for an elderly family friend when someone fired shots from a car. Anyone with info can call the FBI at 317-595-4000.
The announcement of Operation Legend comes amid more deadly violence in Indianapolis. Police say one man is dead and another is wounded after a shootout on the Near East Side, the near Southeast Side to be more specific. Investigators say 2 men in their 50s had been arguing most of the day before they shot each other outside of a home on Harlan Street near English Avenue at around 9 o'clock tonight. This is the 4th fatal shooting today. Metro Police say a man also died this afternoon after a shooting at an apartment complex near 47th and Georgetown Road. And a man and woman were found shot to death early this morning on West Michigan Street between Holt Road and Tibbs Avenue.
The search for suspects continues at this hour after shooting in Fishers left one teenager dead and another injured. We've been following this investigation since last night at 11. Police say 17-year-old Thomas Pearson Jr. died after he was shot in the parking lot of a sports facility near I-69 and 116th Street. The name, age, and condition of the other teen boy has not been released. And now to the latest on how the COVID-19 pandemic is impacting Hoosier lives. 2,906 deaths are now blamed on the virus. 1,079 new cases were reported between Wednesday and yesterday. The positivity rate between August 1st and 7th was 7.6%.
Well, WRTV Investigates is helping you navigate Indiana's new public dashboard for nursing homes. The dashboard allows you to search by facility and see how many new deaths and cases they've had. You can break this out by residents or employees. You can also see how many deaths or cases a facility has had total since March 1st. For months, the state refused to provide this level of detail to WRTV Investigates, citing privacy concerns. Seema Mohapatra, a healthcare expert and professor at IU McKinney School of Law, applauds the continued push for accountability that led up to the change.
Well, here it is. It was able to be disclosed all along. I really think that, your efforts and the efforts of other media was really important here.
You can also search demographics such as the age and gender of the people who have died at long-term care facilities. The dashboard includes a map allowing you to search for facilities in your area. Information will be updated every Wednesday after the state verifies numbers submitted by nursing homes. Experts hope the state now has a template they can use for future pandemics or health concerns.
The U.S. Surgeon General is back home again in Indiana and sharing a message for his fellow Hoosiers. Dr. Jerome Adams tells WRTV he is concerned about a possible spike in COVID cases after Labor Day weekend.
Much of the spread is occurring at family gatherings, at picnics, at weddings, at cookouts. And so I want people to know that we can contain and control this virus with the 3 simple measures I mentioned. And the proof of that is New York, hardest hit place in the world. They now have a positivity rate under 1%. They didn't get a vaccine. They don't have a miracle therapeutic. They did it with washing their hands, wearing a face mask, and watching their distance.
Dr. Adams is also Indiana's former health commissioner. He is visiting family in Adams County. We will have more on our one-on-one interview with Dr. Adams on Monday on Good Morning Indiana beginning at 6 a.m. right here on WRTV.
They are just absolute polar opposites when it comes to economic consequences and economic policies.
Coming up, where President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden stand when it comes to the economy.
To Xfinity and beyond. While the pandemic has devastated parts of the economy, some companies are investing in the future and hiring Hoosiers.
Fast Friday is in the books. Coming up, where drivers stand tonight, what's on deck this weekend, and how some loyal fans are showing their support from outside IMS. We'll be right back.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
The Pacers head into the playoffs on a winning note. They beat the Miami Heat today, 109-92 in the final game of the NBA restart. Victor Oladipo, Miles Turner, and TJ Warren did not play as both teams rested several key players. The Pacers and Heat were already set to face off in the first round of the postseason. The win means the Blue and Gold are technically the 4th seed and the home team, but obviously all games are being played in the bubble. Game 1 is Tuesday at 4 p.m. Game 2 is Thursday at matinee. Their tip-off is at 1 p.m. Game 3 is Saturday at 3:30, and Game 4 is Monday at 6:30. Now, if necessary, Games 5, 6, and 7 would be August 26th, 28th, and 30th.
And now to our WRTV Storm Team forecast. And Kevin, it was really nice today. What is our weekend going to look like?
I'd say between pretty nice and really nice. How about that? Somewhere in there. We'll define that in a second. We have some rain showers that are along the state line with Ohio. So overnight, your chances for some showers in Richmond, Connorsville, Winchester, and Portland. But that will not move back into central Indiana. But it is moving to the west, kind of an unusual direction around low pressure. Well, as you follow the line, it drops out and hits the comfort zone. Not just on Monday, but most of next week. It'll be later next week that the humidity starts to come back. And with the drier air, cooler temperatures, we'll struggle to get to the 80-degree mark as we go through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday comes back up a bit, but overnight lows in that stretch will also fall into the 50s. Love this shot. There's the front straightaway at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Temperature 73 in Muncie, 2 degrees cooler than that in Bloomington. You can see the big city. Indy still the warmest. Some patchy fog. The recipe for fog is there tonight. Moisture in the lowest levels of the atmosphere. Sky is clearing and the wind is light, favorable for some fog development. Looking at some bricks there, not just any bricks, the yard of bricks at the Motor Speedway. Chance for rain anywhere in central Indiana, just 20 to 30% tomorrow, and that should be later in the day, especially to the north and west of Indy. It stays muggy all day with temperatures right back in the upper 80s. We're at 87 today. We'll be at 87 tomorrow. 83 Sunday, and the change there, the humidity level will be falling as we go through the afternoon hours Sunday, setting the stage to that very nice start early next week. Tomorrow morning, temperatures move from the upper 60s to 78 late morning. We'll be at 81 at noon. Temperatures in the upper 80s in the afternoon hours. Possibility of some strong storms, the marginal or low risk from around Crawfordsville to Lafayette and Peru Northwest. That said, we're not expecting that many storms, and wind would be the main threat with the stronger storms. Watch to the northwest. That's at 7 o'clock in the evening. Some strong storms near Chicago, Champaign, but they kind of fade away as they move to the south and east. That's why I think overall the chances of rain not that great in central Indiana. 7-day forecast all in one page for you. Temperatures in the 50s Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, and highs struggle to hit the 80-degree mark next week. So that will be a beautiful stretch of weather, and it will get kind of dry around here again since we're not expecting any widespread rain over the weekend, and dry for most of next week. Have a good weekend.
You too, Kevin. Thank you. The Rebound Indiana and Hiring Hoosiers are two reporting projects that we've launched to help connect you to jobs and resources to weather these tough times brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. WRTV has learned Comcast Xfinity is using this time to invest in its future. Instead of laying off workers and downsizing, the company is building 3 new Xfinity stores and customer service centers in central Indiana. This one is under construction at Traders Point on Indy's northwest side. Another one just opened in Richmond, and a third location will open by the end of the year in Anderson. The company needs to hire at least 36 workers to help customers with cable and internet products, billing questions, and other services.
What we don't want to do is withdraw. It's a bad time to do that, to have that scared business model. So we are looking to expand right now.
And if you'd like to learn more about the positions, the pay scale, and to apply, we've included a link at this story at WRTV.com/rebound and at hiringhoosiers.com.
If you're worried about making ends meet now that Indiana's eviction moratorium has expired, we want to help connect you to resources. 2 rental assistance programs are still options. If you live in Marion County, go to indyrent.org for info. If you live anywhere in the state outside of Marion County, go to indianahousingnow.org. You can find a long list of other services on our website at WRTV.com.
The economy is always a big topic in an election year, but that's especially the case this year due to the impact the pandemic is having on jobs and livelihoods. Bianca Ficini with our partners at Newsy examines where President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden stand on this key issue.
The economy is always a top voter issue in elections. This year is no different, with voters paying close attention to each candidate's vision as the economy reels from the effects of COVID-19.
They are just absolute polar opposites when it comes to economic consequences and economic policies.
And it's true voters will have some drastically different options this November. Newsy focused on 3 key differences between each candidate's economic platform. President Trump wants to extend the current tax structure for individuals that's set to expire in 2025. Former Vice President Biden plans to increase the top tax rate to 39% from 37.5% as part of his goal of addressing income inequality. On trade, one of the centerpieces of President Trump's policy agenda in office, the two differ on how to approach China, with the president relying on tariffs and Biden proposing coalitions with allies. Lastly is healthcare spending. The president's administration has proposed billion-dollar cuts to Medicare and Medicaid over the next decade. Biden wants to lower the eligibility for Medicare and create a public health insurance option that builds on the Affordable Care Act, passed while he served under President Obama.
I think that the difference between Donald Trump's economic plan, if that's what you would call it, versus former Vice President Joe Biden could not be more stark.
Allies of the Biden campaign say his plan will boost working families and caregivers who are struggling amid the economic downturn. President Trump's campaign has stressed GOP efforts to cut wasteful government spending and lower taxes. While Biden's economic agenda is posted in detail on his website, most of what we know about the president's priorities come from his 2021 budget proposal, released before the pandemic. Few details are available online.
If voters want to inform themselves on where President Trump stands and how they feel about that, where can they go?
Well, first I would say this president, in my view, has been probably the most transparent politician in American history. Between his use of social media, his use of Twitter, he's constantly communicating very directly in an unfiltered way with the American people.
A Newsy Ipsos poll found last month that a third of voters ranked the economy as a top issue for 2020, second only to the coronavirus pandemic. Bianca Ficini, Newsy, Washington.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV Trackside, streaming now.
Day first, Brad Brown wrapping up WRTV Trackside on a fast Friday. It was very fast if you're driving a Honda. Chevy guys, only sort of. Still fast, not very fast, though. Ryan Hunter-Ray led the guys among the no-tow speeds, 232.124, led the Honda Brigade. Marco Andretti, his teammate, was the fastest, 233.4, but I'm telling you what, This bodes well heading into the weekend, qualifying tomorrow and Sunday.
Those guys put those numbers up early in the day. The cooler temperatures earlier in Saturday's qualifying session could make a big difference. Bottom line, though, Honda just looking really good today.
So Scott Dixon, as you take a look at the quick six, again, no toe speed. They did this all by themselves here at the 2.5-mile oval. Scott Dixon with a 2:32.028, and he did that in the heat of the day. That could bode well for the former Indy 500 and 5-time series champ. We've talked about it all week. Not having fans here, it's a different atmosphere. I almost feel guilty being here talking about this stuff because I know the fans can't get in. You talk to some fans, though, outside the track.
There aren't fans in the Speedway watching practice this first part of the week, but if you know where to go, there are fans at the track watching here on 16th Street. Inside, the sounds of Indy 500 practice echo around an eerily empty Speedway. But for a dedicated handful of fans, they won't let August go by without seeing at least a glimpse of the action.
I needed to hear race cars. It's therapeutic to hear race cars, and I hadn't heard them this year, not live. Missed the Grand Prix, missed the Brickyard, missed everything else that happened out here this year. Everybody needed to hear race cars, and that's why we're here.
Along 16th Street, just outside the IMS main gate, an informal watch party has popped up over the past few days. Their view is a mere sliver of the oval, just a few hundred yards in the middle of the south short chute between turns 1 and 2.
I bought a house in Speedway for that reason, so I could host the race. Usually fans and friends come in from all over the states. Unfortunately, this year kind of threw a wrench in things, but we're still here celebrating and having a good time.
Most of these fans are not first-timers. Everyone we talked to would have been inside the Brickyard on race day.
Grew up about a mile away behind the third turn, or by 30th and Tibbs, and we've been coming here for a long time. Like when the snake pit was a snake pit.
And while everyone's disappointed how this year panned out, they'll all find a way to make the most of this year's race day experience.
It's probably the right call based on everything else that's going on. I hate it to death. That's why we're sitting out here on the opposite side of 16th Street watching a video board rather than sitting inside along Pit Road.
I feel for the local businesses, big moneymaker for everyone. So just trying to give back to them as much as possible and get engaged and still enjoy the time. We still got the race.
About a couple dozen fans out there here on Friday. I suspect there could be more this weekend. It's at 16th and Polko, just outside the main gate. First come, first serve. Everybody's being really kosher, really cool about the whole thing there, but you might want to arrive early if you want a glimpse inside the south gate down there.
Wear a mask, physical
the whole
distancing.
Thing, absolutely.
It's all cool.
Yes.
The more the merrier, I think, just to be able to hear the cars go around this place. Qualifying tomorrow morning. First driver off, Graham Rahal. We'll see what, and drives a Honda.
Yeah.
We'll see what he does tomorrow. For Brad Brown, I'm Dave First, WRTV Sports.
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's David Blaine. East Coast residents may be saying that when the magician attempts his next stunt. Blaine announced today he will try to float over the Hudson River from New Jersey to New York, holding on to a bunch of helium balloons. You can watch the event on Blaine's YouTube channel on August 31st. What do you think, Kevin? You should try it.
I think that's a stunt that needs a meteorologist. The wind is going to be critical to the success there and where he actually ends up. 87 Saturday, tomorrow, 83 on Sunday. Everybody have a good weekend.
And thanks for making WRTV your choice for news. Have a safe weekend from all of us here.